What's up, guys? UFC 323 happened last night, and we have ourselves a new bantamweight and new flyweight champion. So today, I'm going to be giving them the matchups that I think they should have next, and give them their opponents who should be fighting for the belt next. Now, obviously, our first champion we're looking at is Piotr Yan. Went through an absolute war with Merab Dvalishvili, and obviously earned himself that title last night. The consensus that I'm seeing from other creators is that you just throw this guy back in there with Merab, which I don't hate. I think Merab is the bantamweight goat, so I think it's or at least he was the bantamweight goat. So I think it's warranted that he gets this immediate rematch, but I'm not really too big of a fan of immediate rematches because I feel like it ends up with guys getting locked out of a title picture if they immediately try and swing back on their belt and lose again. So I think they need to make this trilogy happen, but I don't think it happens right now because I have a very crafty vet move in my bag, in my Duffy, that I think should be happening. I think Piotr Yan should be fighting the winner of Umar versus Davison Figueiredo. Now, hear me out. Okay. Umar is most likely going to win this. So we get to have a fresh matchup in Umar taking on Piotr Yan for the belt. And then, obviously, Merab lost. He's going to get the loser of this fight, which is most likely going to be Davison Figueiredo. I think, which is, once again, a fresh new matchup for both of these fighters. I think both of these fighters on here are perfect practice rounds for what we just saw in this championship bout. Piotr Yan gets to work on more wrestling with Umar Nurmagomedov, and Merab gets to focus more on that sort of short man power punching that Piotr Yan has. Tell me this isn't heat, okay? And obviously, in the event that Figgy wins this fight, it will be a rematch with Piotr Yan. But honestly, I think for the storylines of Davison Figueiredo jumping the rankings to fight Piotr Yan in a rematch, I think that is totally acceptable. I think that's a good fight too, if that does happen. But it's most likely we see Umar move to 20-1, and then he gets another swing at Piotr Yan, and Merab gets his get back fight with a smaller guy like Figgy, and he can win that, hopefully. And if both these guys win their fight, then I think we run back this trilogy with a lot more hype behind it. Maybe give one of these guys, home crowd advantage. Obviously, we can't go to Russia, but maybe an Abu Dhabi card. That is pretty even ground, but I feel like that leans more towards Yan. So, yeah. Next up, we got the GOAT, Joshua Van. What a guy. What a dog. Knocks out Pantoja in 2 punches. If you didn't see the fight, that's definitely what happened. Pantoja definitely didn't dislocate his elbow 26 seconds into the fight. So obviously, Joshua Van should be running it back with Pantoja because we only saw 26 seconds of this fight. But Pantoja is on a bad arm right now, and that's going to need time to heal up. And Joshua Van is perfectly healthy. He took no damage because that fight didn't even make it 30 seconds. So I think what's going to happen is that only because in the post-fight press conference, one of these NPC countrymen from Joshua Van's country asked if he's going to defend his belt there. And Dana says, no, we're going to Japan. You're so right, we are, Dana. Because Joshua Van is going to be defending his belt in Japan versus Tatsuro Taira, who knocked out Brandon Moreno last night. tell me this is not a crazy fight. We get a very high-level striking matchup between Van and Tyra, and it's going to be happening in Japan, which I think is an absolutely crazy matchup. Yeah, I think this is definitely the fight to make. But after this, really, no matter who wins, Van is champion. If he beats Tyra, he can just run it back with Pantoja for Pantoja's belt again. But if somehow Tatsuro Taira flukes a win over Joshua Van, Tyra can still fight Pantoja because that's a fresh matchup that we've never seen. And I think if that happens, Pantoja will be getting his belt back. And I think he will be going on one more little run before he retires. But you got to remember, Alexandre Pantoja is getting pretty old. So I think they really need to make this Joshua Van Tatsuro Taira fight soon so that they can slot Pantoja back into the title picture while he's still got some mileage on him, because he's definitely getting older. So those are the next two title fights that I would make. Obviously, Jan versus the winner of Umar Figgy, and Joshua Van, the GOAT, versus my dog, Tatsuro Taira. Not my dog. I don't really... Enough about dogs. Yeah. So that's what I'd do. But who knows? Dana's probably going to give O'Malley a fourth title shot, so that's unfortunate. But yeah, love y'all. That was a short little video. I didn't really want to do full card matchmaking because I don't know. I don't really enjoy the prospect of that kind of video because you make all these matchups and then the UFC just does whatever they want anyways. So if you want full card matchmaking, go over to a guy like Guru or Bedtime. They really drop some absolute bangers. So yeah, love y'all. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let me know who y'all would want to see for that title, for these title fights. So yeah, love y'all.